so-called immigration reform, more special interest giveaways, and radical environmental regulation that will drive more jobs and transfer more wealth out of this country are yet to come. And inasmuch as there is an arrogance of power in Washington, there is an ignorance of power in Albany. And when we talk about weighing down the American dream with oppressive debt and taxation, we cannot ignore the national embarrassment that is our government in Albany. The Democratic leadership over the last 4 years has done far more for the late-night comics than they have done to help our families through this recession. Over the last 4 years, as more New Yorkers have fled this state, and taxes have increased and the budget has ballooned, we've seen a governor resign over moral corruption. We've seen a state comptroller resign over fiscal corruption. We've seen another governor so mired in his own scandal that he has all but abdicated his responsibility to lead the state through this economic crisis, and we have the lieutenant governor running the state of New York. I spend time in Albany every single week, and I hate to break it to you, but as bad as you think it is, I see it firsthand. It's worse. The Democratic leadership of the state Senate, every single one of them more or less is either under investigation, under indictment, or running for the hills because of the culture of corruption in Albany. Albany is just being run by a perverse combination of the unelected, the unwilling, the unresponsive, the unethical, the corrupt, and the outright inept, and we can't stand for it any longer, my friends. We're ready for new leadership. The budget deficit is spiraling upward toward $25 billion, and what's the Democrats' answer? Let's borrow more money. Let's borrow more money to the tune of $6 billion over the next 3 years. We're ready for new leadership. There is waste, there is fraud, there is abuse, and yet little political will by the liberal leadership in Washington, in Albany, to do anything about it. We are ready for a new direction. Now, there are folks who will try and fool you into thinking, well, you know, the tax rates are lower today here in New York than they were at their peak in the 1970s, but what they don't like to tell you is that back in the 1970s, you were able to have unlimited deductions of state and local taxes, which effectively meant that your state and local taxes were able to be discounted by about 70%. Now, with those deductions severely curtailed, and tax rates going up on the federal level, as Obama has promised by rolling back the Bush tax cuts, and on the state level to cover new spending, new special interests, and a growing budget deficit, New Yorkers may, in the not-too-distant future, be paying 50 cents on every dollar that they earn to the government. The more that the Obama administration and the Democrats in Albany raise taxes, the less revenue this state and this nation will generate. It's a simple fact, and it's a fact that people need to understand. Impending federal tax changes are going to shrink the pool of taxable income for state and city governments, and that's going to fall on your shoulders. And since Obama's reliance on the class warfare game is not only going to hit with steep tax increases the upper earners, it's also going to hit the middle class. More and more New Yorkers will have a greater incentive to either leave this state, move their businesses elsewhere, or shelter their money to avoid paying taxes. It can happen, it will happen, if we allow it to happen. While Albany wanders in the desert of corruption, we lose more jobs, we lose more people, and we lose more opportunities to grow and prosper. But it's your money. And as evidenced by your presence here tonight, we will be heard come this November. You were heard. You were heard in elections all across this state in 2009, and you deserve the credit for helping in many of our localities to start reining in fiscal sanity because of people like us who identify with the Tea Party movement, who identify with fiscally conservative values, fiscally conservative candidates, won big in places like Rockland, Westchester, Nassau, Suffolk, Erie, Onondaga, Monroe, Oneida, Dutchess County, Ulster County, and others. They were often outnumbered by the voter rolls. They were outspent on the air, but on the streets and at the ballot box where elections are won, your principles carried the day. Together, my fellow Rocklanders, we will win the battle for America. Together, we are going to stand up for solutions on a broad range of issues while keeping the individual at the forefront of prosperity. Together, we will take the words of Theodore Roosevelt with us to November. Far, far better it is to dare to do great things, to win glorious victories, though checkered by failure, than it is to reside with those poor souls who neither suffer much nor enjoy much, for they dwell in the great twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. My friend, defeat is not an option. Always remember, as we go from this place tonight, always remember that those who would criticize you do so because they fear your fearlessness in this fight. Let's go out there and recapture the American spirit. Let's go out there and recapture our future. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you all, and God bless the United States.